Hello, my name is Austin Gatewood. I am a junior here at Berea College. I am a computer science and child family studies major, and this summer I internship at Runestone Interactive / Academy.
Tell me a bit about your internship.
So my internship, I was a software engineer and content curator at Runestone Academy. Basically, it consisted of the first couple weeks I would look at the textbooks that I was provided by my faculty sponsor, stuff that had to do with C++, Python, learning Java for beginners, and that were mainly native to Python. And I just had to look at both what I knew and what they were providing and just updating the content based off of that. For the first couple weeks, it was mainly just looking at how it was formatted and how it was shown. So if there's any like text errors or something was spelled wrong, wasn't appearing right, not indented correctly, that was what I learned the first couple weeks. And in that, I also learned the language of pretext that they use for their more modern textbooks instead of the old RST files. That also leads me to what I did next, and then later on, I translated a lot of these books from the old Runestone RST files to the new pretext files. So basically, I went in and I didn't make a translator, but I did use and update the translator in order to help me with this process, as well as I actually changed and added a lot of content in that as well. So I had to go research the latest and best coding practices and the newest documentation and such to help these learners that are both anywhere from beginning to middle school, elementary school, from somewhere in the middle and maybe high school range of knowledge to even some of the classes I've taken here at Berea College is a college level education that I even made and created. Aside from that, the later half of the internship, I focused on more of the actual technology side instead of the content curation side. I made decisions based off of the technologies, the organization's technology stack. I reduced some of the workflow, so instead of making so many server requests, they now make little to none, and then I helped with the Docker and Job server implementation, so it provided with a better user end experience. Also a lot of things around with cybersecurity and stuff like that, but that was more of a personal hour goal of a lot of time that I was provided by Dr. Jan, not more of a role specific thing.
Okay. Describe the most technical aspect you did and learned and why it was.
I would say the most technical part would probably be the server integration and just learning how to use pretext as a whole, because a lot of the times I would go and I would know some of the knowledge, right, but I had to go out and research a lot of it, and while that was technical at first, it really got to a bowl-doing nature, and a lot of it I already knew. So learning a new thing in cybersecurity and the actual Docker implementation and server implementation was great, because I learned, how does the file get submitted to? How do they see this? How does the information get? How does the interactive code that I created? How does that actually work? How does that actually compile and run and get sent back to the user and what they see? So that was really important for me, because I knew how servers interacted and talked, and how the information that I was creating and for the first couple weeks that I was making and writing and telling people how to, I actually learned how that actually appears and how that they're actually shown this information. So I feel like, as far as from a technical side, that's probably about the best and most important technical aspect I learned.
Okay. So, similar question. What was the most non-technical aspect that you did?
Non-technical would definitely be balancing work-life. This was a remote position. I was in my home in Dallas, and there was a lot of times where I would wake up in the morning and try and balance. Well, I've got all this stuff to do, but also I would turn behind me and realize, oh, my room was dirty, or my dog needed to be let out, or all these dishes. When I had my hour lunch break, all these dishes had to get done. And as much as I want to say that I've had a job before, and I have multiple jobs before, not any to this capacity in this kind of field that I've worked in, especially in any remote job. So learning the balance between, well, I have to get this done, and I have to be the best employee and learn and acknowledge or absorb all the knowledge I can. I also realize that there's a separate life outside of it, that instead of maybe 5-10 miles away from me in my home. It's now 20 feet away from me in the next room that I got to deal with. So I think just balancing that and communicating those struggles was probably about the best thing I could have learned that was from a non-technical perspective.
Okay. So what do you feel most proud of / accomplished about this internship?
I think the thing that I'm most proud of and the most feeling of accomplishment I did was I created 2 textbooks that we used. As you can see in my little introduction, 150,000 students used those 2 textbooks that I made, and one of the textbooks that I made was a cybersecurity textbook. And that's the field I want to go in, and this internship made me realize that that is something I love, as well as being an educator. So creating that textbook from scratch and using a lot of the knowledge that I had, as well as my professors and other outside resources, and another professor from, I think, Bethlehem College, Belhaven College, using that knowledge that they've given, that they've provided, as well as some of my own, and just creating something from scratch, and knew that these people are obviously loving and using, it makes me feel good about myself, and it makes me feel like I've accomplished something that I would have never done anywhere else.
Okay. So what was the process like when making these textbooks?
The process, it was difficult. It was difficult, but it was fun. You can imagine it's just writing a normal book. You have the introduction, the front matter, what the book is about, all the table of contents, the actual chapters, and the conclusion, and all this such. I mean, you would write it just the same. It's essentially the same. It's just writing it in a book, but you're doing it online in a native Runestone language called pretext. Like, you have to do, okay, well, this file represents this chapter, and I have to connect this file and another file and another file. It's not as simple as just turning a page and writing a book or typing it out in a Word doc. And I mean, essentially, it's what it is. But having to combine that with the fact that, oh, well, I have to make sure that this tag lines up with this tag, and that, oh, I can have this tag inside of this tag because it doesn't like that and it won't compile correctly. And then having to deal with, oh, well, this server only responds in this way, and I have to host this file on a remote repository because the language doesn't allow for this, or say this Sage cell won't interact this way with this R code because it's represented in a different section in a different book, and I have to find out how to get that there. There's so many different interconnecting parts. It's essentially writing a book like you would on paper, but just so many more convoluted and complicated parts, and just so many interconnecting parts that you wouldn't even think of when you read the book just in a class.
Okay. Well, I appreciate this, Austin. It's been great to hear about your internship.
Thank you. I appreciate your help.
You have a good day.
You too.